First, live, local. This is Fox 12 Now.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Fox 12 Now. I'm Greg Nibbler. As always, appreciate you being here. Whatever platform you are watching on, we're live. We are live here from the digital news desk at the Fox 12 Oregon headquarters, but it's Thursday at 1:30 p.m., and if you watch this show, you know what that means. It's time for Eric G. from Around the House Northwest to join us, to bestow his knowledge upon us, and tell us some cool stories of all the awesome stuff that he gets to do. Eric, as always, so good to see you.
Always good to see you, my friend. Always good to see you. We got a lot going on this week.
Yeah, there is a ton I know that we need to get to. So let's start off by talking about one of these two things that we have up here on the screen right now.
You know, decks is an interesting one because we see in the news all the time deck failures, right? You know, where something falls down and people go, oh, I had no idea what was going to happen. But it also means somebody didn't inspect their deck and take a look at it either. You know, that's where the problems are. The average lifespan for a deck is literally 15 years in the Pacific Northwest. So that's a big problem. People think they'll last 30 and they don't maintain them.
Yep, and I can certainly see that being an issue. I don't know what just happened behind me, but I'm just going to let that go. So this is our shot. I don't know if people can see it. You know, it's one of those days. So let's go. Let's just keep going. So yes, inspecting your deck is a very important thing to do. And so how is it that what should people be doing? What are the things that they should be doing to make sure that they're inspecting their deck properly?
You know, a couple things that I do. One, I look around and see what the fasteners are. You know, when you're looking at around your deck, you should have big metal brackets, right, that are holding things together. Anytime wood's connected in the frame underneath, I want to see a bracket like this or something similar holding it together. One of the most common places for deck failures is where it's attached to the house, right? And many times you'll see people just grab nails and they nail it right to the house, when you should be looking at a big bolt or screw like this that's fastened in. If you're going around and inspecting the deck where it's attached to the house and you don't have this big bolt head at the bottom, you should start asking questions and taking a look, because many times what happens when those deck failures, it pulls away from the house, the posts that are out there, it falls down, and that's where that connection is. Yeah. And if it's getting to be an older deck, take a look at it. Go around and wrap it with a hammer. If it sounds like solid wood, sounds like solid wood. If it sounds hollow, you probably got a problem.
Yeah, that's a very good point. So that's a good idea to actually tap at it with that. You know, attaching it to the house too, that does make sense. A couple of nails aren't going to hold it up over time with all of that weight pulling on there. So
no,
definitely.
And you know, and these things happen. You know, like you'll see injuries happen when you'll get 4 or 5 people out there. You got the barbecue going. They're leaning on the railing, and the railing was maybe a little loose, but you didn't think about 6 big dudes like me leaning up against it. And all of a sudden, you've got a railing coming over. So a deck will speak to you. It will feel a little soft. It'll feel a little spongy. It might move a little bit if you're jumping around on it. Pay attention to those things, because those can also be a warning of bigger things to come.
All right, great advice then on your deck. So everybody out there with your deck, you're out there enjoying it right now. It's nice weather. Do an inspection on it so you don't end up having something terrible happen or having it collapse or fall down. Then it's a whole lot of work that you got to do after that.
And there's one other tip too, Greg. You can actually go online and look up deck inspection, and there's a huge checklist out there that you can find where it'll tell you where to go look, and you can go down the list so you don't miss anything.
Great idea. So do that. Protect your deck. Inspect your deck, and let's talk about kitchens too, because I know that was one of the other big ones that you want to talk about. Something else that everybody is always doing, you know, remodels and working on their kitchen. But I know you have a lot of advice on that.
Yeah, I've spent 30 years as a kitchen and bath designer, so this is really in my construction design wheelhouse. But one thing you're starting to see right now, people are going, okay, I want to have that kitchen design done and that kitchen remodel done for Thanksgiving. And if you haven't started by now, you're probably not going to get there. Maybe shoot for Christmas, because you've got such a lead time of planning to go out there. But one of the things that, and this is going to sound a little self-serving, but it's honestly the truth. When you sit there and bring in a kitchen designer that is skilled at what they do, it's going to save you money every time. So many times you'll have a homeowner that'll go, I'm going to DIY this. And some of the biggest mistakes happen because they don't have the experience. Most people only remodel that kitchen once or maybe twice in a lifetime. And a good designer has to have years under their belt and hundreds of kitchens designed to be really good at it. So as a homeowner trying to do it yourself, you've got almost no chance of getting it right, which means it's going to get expensive.
Yes, and mistakes are very costly when you're going down that route.
All it takes is for you not to understand one thing, and you can make a $2, $3, $4, $6, $10,000 mistake that quick, and that easily paid for the professional to do it. And that's just one of the things that to help have an expert to guide your way is a key when you're starting out a project like this.
That is absolutely, that's terrifying too, just to think like one little tiny mistake could be costing you all of that money versus.
And you think about it, let's go back in the history of the kitchen for a second. If we look back, 30 years ago when microwaves were new and we didn't have all these stores like the Williams Sonoma and all these different stores or Amazon where you can order 10,000 kitchen gadgets, right? It was pretty much basic stuff in a kitchen. And so it was designed for that. Nowadays, if you take that old 30-year-old kitchen design and just go, I'm going to copy it and do it again, you're not really doing it right. You should be planning for what you have now in the future, not what they did pre-microwave.
Right. That's a very good point. I mean, there's so many different ways that you could design things now and with all of the different features that can come with that. So, yeah, get an expert. Get an expert to do it.
Get an expert and then spend the time to design it out. So what I recommend is, even if you're not doing this as a DIY project, if you're going to hire a company to come in and do it, which there's nothing wrong with that to bring in the experts, but if you're going to find that kitchen designer, come up with the project that you want to do, and then talk to the different contractors to get your estimates. Because the problem is if you've got 3 different estimates, 3 different designs, you're comparing all these apples to oranges that'll make no sense when you're trying to figure out what's the better deal or what's the best project. Have one design and then compare the contractor to see who's going to do it the way you want it and to the price you're looking for.
Great idea. Anything else that people should be thinking about when it comes to kitchens?
Think about it. When you're doing a kitchen remodel, building code has changed so much. So you want to make sure that, if you're doing it or the contractor, pull those, building permits you need, because you're going to need a lot more electrical. There's, each appliance has to be on its own circuit now. So if this was a 70s or 80s home, many times the outlets and the lights were on one electrical circuit. So you might have to add 3 or 4 different circuits there. And then really think about ventilation. Building code says that we have to have that vent hood, has the vent all the way out of the house, no matter what. So make sure that you've got that planned out, because that is the biggest polluter of air in your home, is that cooktop or range that you're cooking on. So you want to make sure, 1, you have a really good hood, and 2, you plan for it, and get something that's going to work for you. That way you're going to be happy with it and use it, because so many times people put it in and go, oh, I don't use it, it's too loud. Well, now you've really hurt your indoor air quality.
Yeah, and I mean, what's the point of it if you're not going to, spend all that money, then you're just not going to use it?
Absolutely, because all those little particles, it's like barbecuing inside. It's not a good idea, right?
Yeah, definitely. Great ideas. Great advice on that. Let's talk about Around the House Northwest. And I know I don't have the video to play right now. There's a promo out there, but tell us about it. We'll describe it with words. What's coming up this weekend? Because I know that you've got some really, really amazing things that you got to do. As always.
Yeah, we kind of almost dive into a little bit of safety and resilience in this one, because we go out to Oregon Freeze Dry, which is Mountain House, that backpacking staple of freeze-dried food. So we watch that start to finish, and they're making some amazing food. But it's something you should have in your house as well. If you're just a homeowner and you're like, I never backpack, you better have 2 weeks food supply as your backup. So you want to make sure that you're prepared with that. And then we go down and get special access with ODOT, that 205 Abernathy Bridge project.
Yeah.
They're actually taking that bridge, jacking it up, moving it to the side, the road deck, and building a new one down the middle, and then making it resilient to earthquakes. And so they're literally digging 200-foot holes in the ground to put the foundation in right now. And we had just absolute wonderful access from the bottom side of the project that you can't see from the top road deck.
That's cool. Yeah, that's something that not everybody's going to get to go see, is how that is actually made. 200 feet down. That's how far they go for that?
Yeah, they're like 200,
Wild.
I think they said 230, 240 to get down into bedrock. And then the other thing that's funny, when they built that bridge, right? They didn't have the environmental things that they do now. So the previous contractor or people working on the bridge kind of dug holes and put the metal and spare parts down in the hole and buried it forever. Well, when you're digging a 200-foot hole, sometimes you run into things, and they've been running into things from previous projects around there. So they've been having to spend divers and stuff down into the ground to cut out the pieces and parts to just so they can actually get this thing done. They're doing a great job, and it's so cool to see this project. They haven't done something like this in Oregon in like 50 years.
Wow, that's incredible. And you have the behind the scenes, you get to go there and take a look. Also, going back to the Mountain House, I mean, that's really cool.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, seeing
Fresh
how all
ingredients.
of that.
We got to watch it from start to finish.
I really want to know how that's
We
done.
were standing at negative 30-degree freezer when we were doing it, so we're having fun.
Because it does, I mean, they really do taste good. I've used them for backpacking, and I've got a few at home, actually, that I haven't even opened yet. They taste good. Like, I am really curious of that process of how they make that work.
Yeah.
And that's what we get to watch.
Fascinating to watch how they do that. And then we do on my Perform Like a Pro segment, we do a couple different things. One, we put in a brand new front door in my house, which I've been working on this project for 2 years to get this front door in because it's kind of new product. And so this has been a plan for a long time. So put that in. It's a black walnut 42-inch door, but it's a door that has no hinges.
How does that work?
There's pins in the top and the bottom of the door, and it pivots on those.
Oh, crazy.
So there's no hinges on the door. So it's really cool. So we can go in and adjust how, since it's on these pins, you can adjust how it slow closes and how it operates. Where with hinges, you're just stuck with hinges, right?
Yeah, it is what it is.
So that's a brand new product out there. And then we also go over and do some little bit of planting, adding some summer color to my house, pop down and talk to my local horticulturist at Wilco. And we did some planting to add a little color to my life here at the house.
Man, and that's all in just in one episode that all this is going on.
One more thing I'll throw at you. We talk about firescaping with your home with an author that made it through a California wildfire. And then she did a bunch of research with her and her co-author, and they wrote a book about how to prevent wildfires in your house and what to make your house withstand a fire if it came through. So that's another great interview within the show.
That's so much. And like you said, that's one episode of Around the House Northwest. And I know for everybody watching too, we've got a lot of clips. I think it's over 100 now of segments that are on our YouTube channel that everybody can go check out for Fox 12 Oregon. There's a whole channel there for Around the House Northwest and all that. But for this episode, because I really want to see everything you just talked about. You know, seeing all
we
these
got it
behind-
there. Our Leatherman one from last week, which we didn't get to talk about because of the preemption.
Yes.
But I tell you what, that Leatherman one blew up this last week because I think everybody wanted to see how people make Leatherman knives here in Portland, and they make them right here. That's the cool part.
That's the other thing. Yeah, all of this is local stuff that you get to check out. And I mean, some people may not even know that that's happening around here, and this is where it is. And you get to go in and show us the behind the scenes, which there's so many great things for that. So for this episode, and I know last week's episode is going to re-air as well. So can you give us the rundown? If you want to catch the Leatherman one,
check that out tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. on Fox 12 Plus. We'll have that with the last week's show, but then this show airs Saturday morning, 10 a.m. on Fox 12 Plus, 6 p.m. Sunday if you're out running around, or again back on Friday morning at 8.
There we go. So you got opportunities and such good stuff. Eric, it's always so nice having you on and talking to you just about all these cool things that you get to do and informative. So definitely some important stuff though. So for people who have decks, you're doing the kitchen remodel, go back, watch through what he was talking about right there and follow some of that advice. And you can check out all the other episodes with Eric on here too. Also go to that YouTube channel, Fox 12 Oregon. You can see all the stuff that we do for Fox 12 now. You can watch his clips, watch his show on Fox 12 Plus, and there we go. Eric,
it's
always
everything
so
you
awesome.
need.
Yeah, and thank you to everybody who's joining here for Fox 12 now. You know, we live stream here every weekday, start at 1 p.m., and then we get to do some really great things here throughout the day. If there's ever breaking news, this is the place to go as well. But I'm going to sign off for right now, and I believe I'll be back at 2 p.m. talking about the Perseid meteor showers, or we'll have that coming up. I'll leave that as a mystery for right now. But thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Appreciate it. I'll talk to you soon with more Fox 12 now. I know for a minute we're going to be on Facebook and YouTube.
You got it.